These are some acceptable reasons for refusal. So if an individual animal has a violence control order, so if you have a dog, you know that if it bites someone, council can tell you it's a dangerous dog and it has to be, muzzled when it's on a leash, and you've got to have a sign on your front gate, those sorts of things. That type of dog, the committee could probably refuse coming into an apartment building. If it's a banned dog breed in your local area, so different councils have different types of dogs they allow and don't allow. Some things are animals, but they're not pets. So as funny as these sound, if you want to have a pig or a donkey or a llama or a goat, the committee can generally refuse those because they're not a domestic pet, even though some people want to keep them as a pet. If the committee saw that there was more than a reasonable number, so if someone wanted to have 7 dogs and run a breeding centre out of their townhouse, they could say no to that. Or commercial operation, doggy daycare, or if the owner refuses to have the animal vaccinated and microchipped and registered with the council. So those all sound pretty extreme. That's the level of extremity that is needed for a committee to say no to a pet. Usually most things below that really extreme standard means the committee still has to say yes. So the things that the committee can't rely on, it can't rely on the slippery slope argument where, some members would say, look, if we say yes to this pet, next thing there'll be 150 dogs in our complex and that's too many. That's not a valid argument. It has to be based on the merits of the individual pet. And yes, if you've got 150 apartments, you may end up with 150 pets. That's just how it is, and that's not a reason to refuse individual applications. Committees aren't allowed to just have a preference that certain dogs, or usually it's dogs, don't live in apartments for health reasons, so that you'll often hear that dog is too big for an apartment. The RSPCA and local councils have some guidance about what are appropriate apartment dogs, and often big dogs, if they get exercised, are totally fine living in an apartment. Generally, it's way more important that the owner takes care of the dog rather than what type of dog it is. Or the assumed fear or perceived fear that dogs might bark and cause a nuisance in the future. You can't say no just because you think those things might happen or you have an assumption that they might happen.